Hello, ladies and gentlemen of the internet. Welcome back to a new episode of the Musing with Menchaca show. This is episode 43, according to my notes. Hopefully, they're right. We're back. We've been off for a year, and hopefully, I can get this ball rolling again. My name is Luis Menchaca. I'm your host, and to my right are my brothers. The last two episodes were dedicated to them, actually.
Awesome.
We have the marketing guru, Carlo Menchaca.
Yeah, what's going on, everybody?
And the soldier of fortune, Juan Menchaca.
What's going on, guys?
There you go. See? I think I got it. My first try. Got it. All right. You can follow me on Twitter at Chocolaka88, PSN, Nintendo Network, XBL, and Nintendo Network actually has been defunct now, so scratch that one. Steam at Chocolaka88. There you go. That's it. Let's go ahead and get into it. I got nothing much to promote other than, hey, Smash or Pass 4. Smash or Pass 4 is on July 3rd. I think. July 7th? July 7th.
July 4th is a holiday, man.
July 4th is Wednesday, and then that Saturday after the 4th of July is that one. There you go. All right, so we're going to be getting into some heavy things, very, very just divisive topics. So if you are very trigger happy or you get triggered too easily, this is not the show for you. But if you want to see our opinions and how we just discuss through these hot button topics, stick around and let's see and let me know if you agree, and we can have a discussion in the comment section below. First things first, before we even get into the heavy stuff, I want to start us off by going into something easy, very non-controversial, very fun. Just something.
Know, man.
It might be controversial.
My turn.
It's simulating a gun.
It's violence. Which is why we're in the position we're in America.
First topic is Farpoint. This is a game that came out in May of last year. And it's a virtual reality game where you simulate actually holding
by the way.
a gun. It's like holding an AR-15.
Not quite.
But almost.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. So this is a VR game. It tracks your motion perfectly. You can aim down sights by raising the gun. It has a trigger. You move around. It's very. It's like you're like playing as a male version of Ellen Ripley, or is that her name?
Yeah.
Almost.
I think that's her name. Yeah.
Ripley. I don't know.
Yeah, Ripley.
Yeah.
Sigourney Weaver's
character.
Her character was Ripley.
Yeah. So it's basically like you're playing as Ripley.
Yeah.
And
the face huggers are coming at you. You blow them away.
Exactly.
Cool.
It's intense, actually.
So what was your first impressions about playing the game?
Holy moly! I got to play it, and it was pretty realistic at first.
My heart rate went up.
Yeah, I was sweating. I could feel the music changing with the mood, and the first freaking spider/face hugger thing that came out, man, I was like, it made me like jolt.
Yeah, the audio is actually pretty awesome.
The audio was really great.
A 360 audio.
Yeah, 360 audio.
When
really,
you heard
really
the
good.
spiders behind you and everything
Yeah.
like that.
Rolling around, and you're like, what the heck was that?
I loved it when my niece, when she got so scared that she actually stepped back like a couple of feet as if it was right in front of her. Yeah, like she's like, and then backing away and stuff.
Yeah, this game actually makes you very paranoid as you're playing it, which I think is really cool, and it makes it made my heart rate go up because I felt like I was going to get attacked at any moment. So it was pretty cool.
Pretty awesome.
Yes, I think that's about it. I think we can
recommend it. Yeah,
we can get
2 thumbs up for sure.
Yes.
On the game.
Is this a good training for how to shoot in real life?
No, but
it's a game.
I will tell you that a lot of people don't know how they'll react when shit goes down, and this will definitely help.
Tell you exactly how you'll react.
Yeah.
All right. So we've been away for about a year. A lot of shit's happened in the last year. I switched to Android. That's a big deal. I know.
Oh, yeah. I came to the right side.
Yeah. So with that said, we're just gonna hit topics that aren't necessarily like
sequential order.
And not sequential order, but definitely like these topics didn't happen yesterday. I'll tell you that for the most part. They've been part of a larger discussion that's been going on for a while. Yeah. So we're just gonna hit them. So
let me add something to this. These are topics that all of us have at work or amongst our closest friends and family members. And you may not realize how you feel about it until you hear these type of conversations. So like Lewis said, if your trigger, if this is gonna really boil your blood, it's not something for us to make you mad or upset. Maybe it's just to start a topic or a conversation, and you could comment below, and we'll be very responsive.
I'll reply to all comments.
We're not hateful or anything like that. We respect everybody's opinion, and this is just, again, a way for us to vent and also for us to kind of bring these things to light and maybe start a conversation with some of our closest friends.
Yep.
So
basically water cooler talk happening right
yeah,
now.
pretty much.
But not even good ones, like the controversial ones.
Exactly.
Let's talk about religion. I'm just kidding.
Did you get my text yesterday about that? That's pretty funny. You didn't see that? I said I'm going to talk about religion. Anyways.
Oh, actually, no. Yeah, you did. Yeah. I remember now.
Okay,
I'm going to talk about religion. I'm like, oh. And
I hit all the other hard ones, and he said, all right, I'll talk about religion.
Now, what we won't do is locker room talk.
No.
We'll leave that up to Trump to do that.
Yeah, okay, good. No,
Sorry.
We'll leave that up to all that pillow talk that he does with the prostitutes.
There you go.
Yeah.
Shots fired.
There you go.
All right, so I guess that's the first topic. Trump. He got elected since the last time we recorded a podcast, I think. Or no, was it?
And to make things very clear and interesting, if we want to go around what our political, not affiliations, but what our political beliefs are, so that way it's clear to the people that are listening to this, know that, we're not necessarily biased towards anything. I think we're all pretty balanced out here, but if you want to say, what your...
Why are you getting real personal?
Well, no, because we're going to talk about these things. Right. And for example, I'll start off. Actually, I was a Trump supporter at first, and then I was listening to a lot of stuff going on, and as the date approached for us to vote, I did swing towards Hillary, but I will tell you that it was like last minute things that came up that made me feel that way. But I am a Republican per se. I think like a Republican. I'm more right than I am, a Democrat. And I definitely did see firsthand what Obama administration and some of the things he did for his voters. But I will say that any party, any political figure needs a good leader, and I don't think Trump is a good leader. So, anyways, I just want people to know what my affiliation is. Yeah.
So, I guess I'll say what I am. I'm a Republican. I used to think I was a Democrat, but then when I actually finally got into the political scene, I realized that my thought processes were more right, more conservative, and more left. Yeah. I have some liberal ideas. I'm not completely, like an extremist right person. So this is Republican, like total right Republican. This is Democrat, and the middle is right here. I'm about
right of center,
about quarter center, in there somewhere. So it kind of depends on the leadership, the style, that
big
goes
time
with it. So, so for everybody out there, I'm a Republican.
I'm about to turn 30, so that means I'm turning into a Republican.
I don't think it works that way.
No,
but
like
okay.
I've heard a phrase.
A lot of youngsters do tend to go more towards the Democrat.
Yeah, like I heard a phrase saying that, like, if you're after a certain age, you become a Republican, and if you're still a Democrat at that certain age, you just don't have enough life experiences to know any better.
Well, you're not improving your life, because the more experience you have, the better work that you have, the more money you make, the more taxes you pay. So yes, that does change your point of view.
Yeah. So I mean, like I said, I'm actually up until like last year, I'd say I was Democratic, but now I am starting to have more and more like philosophical, intellectual conversations with the people around me, and it's making me swing more right as far as like making me not like it questioning all my assumptions. Like basically, what I've learned in the last like 3 months is that the things that I thought were facts were actually feelings, which caused me to.
Man, that's a good point.
Which caused me to like question everything, and now I don't even know what I know. I don't believe. Like I question my own knowledge.
So that's.
I love that he said that.
That's how I started going back and forth. I said, "Wait a minute, hold on. It is based on feelings." And then I started having intellectual conversations, and I was like,
"Yeah, like
makes more sense.
Prove your point with facts."
Yeah,
and then I'm right because feelings. Like that's basically what it.
That's how I sort of graduated, like from thinking I'm a Democrat to being an actual Republican.
So that's where I'm at.
I don't think that's natural. I think what happens is we tend to get swayed with social media, or the media itself,
or the people around you.
Yeah, people around.
But yeah, but I'm on this journey right now, this self-discovery political journey right now. So I'm in the middle right now as far as, learning to let go of my feelings and.
So maybe you might be a mayor one day. Mayor. Back to the Future. I'll run for the mayor.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So,
anyways,
with that said, let's
jump in there.
We digress a little bit.
I think
my brother wanted to make sure everybody knew what we were.
Yeah.
So, are we really balanced here? I mean, we all seem to be Republicans.
well, like you, I am centered. There's a lot of things that I can not relate to, but one candidate that I actually did like, and I look back and I think, man, Bernie Sanders. I think back,
drink the Kool-Aid on that one.
and yeah, exactly. And I think back at myself, and I'm like, wow, was he really a good candidate? I think he was, but I don't think he was the solution for what America needs now. And I think we needed somebody like a business person like Trump, and that's kind of what made me excited about this guy.
Running it like a business?
Running America like a business. What did he say? Drain the swamp? Is that what he said?
Yeah.
Which kind of made me excited about him. But as time went on, I mean, we're talking about a year after he got elected in the office. Things have not turned out that way. So we'll talk about that, I guess, right now.
So should we go and approach Trump from the media slant? Should we talk about the media first then? Because one thing I'm going to say is that I watch a lot of Seth Meyers, Late Night with Seth Meyers. He does a closer look. And he does the check-in and a bunch of other stuff. John Oliver does Last Week Tonight. And the media is very anti-Trump, very super hardcore.
He's an easy target.
The bias is in there.
Yeah.
And I think it goes back to, and one of the topics I want to hit up was the freedom of the press. So the problem that I have here is that people need to understand that the freedom of the press, which is written in the Constitution, is a check on power. It's something that we need to understand, that the press is there to make sure that they can investigate anything in the government or in society, community, or whatnot, for us to be informed. So it's about informing the people. And I have a problem with any leaders that are going to battle with the media and calling everything fake. I mean, to be honest with you, you're in the position to defend the Constitution, then you need to defend it. You can't go against the press because that's actually in the Constitution. So for me, it's you wanna duke it out with the press. You want to make sure you go to war with the press. That's it's going against what you're supposed to do. Maybe you need to hold yourself to a higher regard. And I'm talking about a leader in general, and someone in that high regard just needs to understand that the freedom of the press is there for a reason. If everything is fake and everybody thinks that everything is fake out there, then what do we have to go by?
We have to take his word for everything.
If you discredit everything that's said out there, then by all means, it's gonna mess the system up. I mean, it's there for a reason.
We don't have anything. We don't have any facts to work off of.
Yeah.
Well, how do we know? I mean, is it a fact? Is it opinion? Somebody make it up? I mean, that's the thing. You're trying to discredit something that's supposed to be there for a reason.
And anytime anyone makes an allegation of something, you automatically assume they're guilty because it's an allegation.
That's true.
The court of public opinion is always going to skew guilty immediately.
But is the public smart? Are we smart enough to decipher, with what he's saying? Because he's very good at saying these type of these things, and it sways the conversation to talk about, did he really say that? Let's say there's a controversial thing happening. He'll say things like, "Oh, it's fake," and then all of a sudden the conversation becomes about what he said. Let me give you a good example. My cousin. I probably shouldn't even have said his name. Let's go ahead and edit that out. Let's edit him out. Let's edit that out.
Time mark. Okay, got it.
All right. So, for example, I have a very good cousin, close cousin of mine, that I had a conversation about last summer. The conversation about the NFL. Some NFL players were taking a knee.
Yeah.
And Trump went on record, and he actually said, if they're going to be doing that, let's fire them. Let's fire these NFL players that are disrespecting the flag. Now, luckily, and on my behalf, I actually was paying close attention to this, and I know that they were not disrespecting the flag. They were making a stand regarding police brutality. Treatment, brutality, or the not even police brutality. It was police maltreatment of minorities. Okay, and at the time there was like 3 or 4 shootings or killings that happened almost simultaneously, all within within like 4 weeks of each other. So so I had followed that. But here's the thing. Here's what the conversation that I was having with my cousin was this. It was about why are they disrespecting the flag? And that wasn't the issue here. That was not the issue. We were discussing what he said and what he meant, as opposed to the facts. What are they standing for? What is it? So historically, Trump has been very good about using his words and discrediting the media or anybody that's in a position to either make him look bad or make the government look bad, or whatever the case is. And the question here for me is, are we smart enough to decipher that? I think I have. I think I've kind of learned to deal with some of his BS. I don't necessarily believe him or some of the media as well. But not because I don't believe the media. I don't think that they're doing anything false. But it's obvious that there are certain networks that are more biased against and towards. I think we've all seen that. So what I'm saying is I'm in the middle. I feel like I can see both sides.
So should you watch like both CNN and
Fox
at the same time, so that way you can get like literally? I'm not gonna lie.
At night, really.
It really is. I was gonna say the same thing.
I'm not gonna lie, because like basically I watch like clips of Fox News and they're like basically bending over backwards to suck his dick. But then like
weird because you look at 2 points of view of the same story and it's like damn.
That actually like, that happened to me. Whoa. That happened to me. I go to the gym. Ladies. No. So I go to the gym and they actually have a treadmill. Like this upstairs has a treadmill, and then you have TVs. And then there are 2 TVs. They're like all
they're covering the same issue.
So the TVs have one is Fox and one is MSNBC and then one is CNN, and so you see the same story, but the headline, the running headline, is worded differently, covering the same topic, and like it's got a different slant.
I believe that.
And I'm like, damn. And so you can actually see it at the same time. It's really crazy
it is crazy.
You would see like a shot of like Trump is like walking out of the helicopter, but you get like different bylines.
So it's all about perspective. If I'm a hardcore Democratic, believer, Democrat believer, and I'm listening to like CNN or MSNBC or NBC or whatever, I will, I will drink the Kool-Aid.
It was
right?
like, I think the byline was about Trump.
So what am I going to do? I'm going to go on Facebook, right? And I'm going to have this belief that all of that's true, and I'm going to get passionate about what I'm saying, and all of a sudden what I'm saying is opinions, right? Because I'm getting this information which is geared to make me believe a certain way, and I believe it, and I'm going on Facebook and I'm fighting with all these people. And guess what? I'm not a racist. I don't think I am. And if I talk to somebody who's either white or black or whatever, and I'm having these passionate conversations, if I'm a Republican, for sure I'm going to be called a racist. If I'm a Democrat, I'm going to be called all these things, that aren't true. Oh, you just want to give welfare to the people, or you just want to help. No, it's not true. I care about making our society better. I care about some of those things, and one thing that we're talking about is gun control. That's another big thing. Like somehow racist or not racist, but our race has a lot to do with how we're perceived to think. And that kind of like makes me upset, honestly. I think we all need to learn how to, like you said, like kind of what you went through, that eye-opening, like, I can't believe I believed the crap I was believing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. We all need to go through that. But
the thing
the question is how.
Well, that is a mentally taxing thing to do. Yeah, like it's not. I'm not saying like, I'm not trying to like overstate it, but like there are certain things that people want to do is live their lives to get on to get by kind of thing. And so complacency, like having to go through what I'm going through is just something that it takes a lot of time, takes a lot of mental energy, and it takes a lot of reflection and a lot of discussion. And that's something that people just don't, necessarily are prone to go through. Like when you have this kind of conversation and you don't, I was like, oh, you don't agree with me? And then just kind of like,
we all forgot how to have good conversations, and I'm guilty of it. I'm sure I'm guilty of it. Because like I said, we can be passionate about how we feel, but we need to learn how to have good factual conversations and not take things personal and not make things personal. Right. And that's what causes a lot of issues. Like Trump, I believe that he was a good business guy. He has to be for him to have that money. From a leadership standpoint, he doesn't bring us together. He divides us by the words that he says, by his actions. What happened in Charlottesville, North Carolina, about 7 months ago? He's our leader. We look for him to quickly respond to something.
Is the Charlottesville the one where there was the tiki torches,
the tiki torches, and I think a gentleman ran his car into a crowd of protesters.
There's a lot of good people in there
on both sides. Those are the words, and guess what? I'm going to come out and I'm going to say, look, that's wrong for him to say that, and then you're going to have a lot of his supporters come after me. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I don't know. It's just he's not somebody who's bringing us closer together. He's actually dividing us, and perhaps that might be a strategy that he's playing on. I don't know if that's what it is. When you do that, exactly, he does. So we all have to be very careful.
Is he good at being president? I mean, like I'm talking about, like in the sense that
from an executive standpoint,
his turnover is apparently supposedly like the highest percentage ever in a year. And also, not to mention, he didn't even fill in all the positions for the cabinet positions weren't all filled in, or still aren't.
He likes to boast a lot, and he likes to be very critical of past administrations, right? And what I mean by that, he always brings up like, oh, by this time I'm already doing this, and it turns out everybody comes back and he has to eat his words because he was hypercritical. Mm-hmm. Of someone before, and then now it's like they're bringing it back. I'll say, hey, at this time you said this about this president, but you have already far outdone him in this area. It's come up in a lot of subjects.
Yeah.
And he likes to change a little bit of the facts. Like
he's been called out before.
He has to fill like 125 positions for federal judges. And
that's crazy.
And he was thanking Obama for that, right? He's like, oh, thank you, Obama. He goes, I can't believe he did that. I can't believe that he allowed me to do that. But the Republicans actually blocked him from doing that at the end of his...
Obama. That's right. Yeah. No confirmation. Yeah.
Right. Through no confirmation.
Yeah.
And he was thanking Obama for doing it. And I was like, okay, like that is a literal mislead because that's actually not what happened. What happened was the Republicans stopped him from doing that, and he was thanking Obama for doing it. So he was thanking the wrong person. So he's trying to make himself look a little bit smarter than he really is. Like, this is great for me. Obama's dumb or whatever, But
also,
that's actually not
he criticized Obama about using so many executive orders to do things, and then he does it like
all the time.
He's like, man, executive orders, and the next thing you know, like. I was playing a clip, and the next thing you know, he's using executive orders to do on day one, from day one. Yeah, I'm like, huh? Is that I don't know. It just
in terms of turnover, there are some presidents that are pretty up there percentage wise, and it's not uncommon for him to bring in new leadership, especially as the turmoil and all that kind of stuff. All these changes are happening, but I can tell you that. It looks bad on him simply because he came in here with the confidence he was going to change things up. He's the best leader. He's the art of the deal type of guy. So you wouldn't expect for this to be happening. But what makes it so funny to me is that he has a lot of things going on from a legal standpoint. He has a couple of suits, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I know that the Department of Justice is investigating him on his involvement, if there was any. I don't know if there is or not, with the collusion, with the Russian collusion and stuff like that. So I know that there's a lot of people that aren't necessarily kissing his butt, or would you say like sucking his dick, because they're afraid. They know that there's a lot of stuff going on. John Kelly, he's working with the Department of Justice. I think they already said that Michael Flynn is working with them as well.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I think and they're real close to actually getting his son-in-law. Like they're circling in pretty close.
And Robert Mueller's been trying to interview Trump for like forever, right?
Right, and Trump is looking like he's wanting to, but they had a meeting last week and they were talking about what questions they're going to be asking. They're trying to negotiate what can be asked and what can't be asked, because they don't want Trump to incriminate himself.
I think there's a level of absurdity that happens whenever Trump's attorneys have attorneys.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, you're right.
And they keep quitting on them.
They're quitting on him. No, they are. Actually, that's crazy. I heard about that. That he can't hold his legal counsel.
I think it's because he likes to tweet a lot. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
His tweets don't do him any favors, do they?
There was something that just came out that he liked to tweet like 3 to 5 in the morning when nobody's around, so they can't stop him from doing it. So.
Well, Vox, they're a website.
Yeah,
they
Vox.
actually called him out that his tweets coincide. This Fox show,
Fox and Friends. Yeah. I saw that.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
So as soon as Fox and Friends, they make some kind of announcement or they say something,
he'll tweet it.
He'll tweet
with seconds later
to support that.
Yeah.
So that's why he gets this reputation that he gets his information from the news, which is pretty hilarious to me, actually. I mean, I think that's kind of crazy.
Yes. Seth Meyers would have me believe that he's a very incompetent person that gets his reports and likes to have his name in there as many times as possible.
As he can, yeah.
Which I don't know how that's...
Supposedly there was one person who quit or I don't know if he just narked on him. He said that he was one of the writers and he had to have his name in there as many times as possible.
Yeah.
Writing for him. I did read that, and I think it was the same thing that you were talking about. So yeah, that did come out.
Or whenever he went to they were having a special election, and he goes to endorse the candidate.
Yeah,
but
in
he
Alabama.
talks about himself.
Is it Alabama? Right.
I forgot.
I think so.
I think it was Alabama, and he did talk about himself.
Instead
And he actually forgot
about
to endorse the candidate.
Yeah, the entire time. Yeah,
that's hilarious, man. So then, is it nepotism?
Ego.
Or I'm sorry, not nepotism. I meant to say, is he narcissist?
Narcissist.
Or is he just a sociopath? Or is he, like a lot of people are saying, is he old and is he like, is he dementia? Not dementia, but
we don't know. I mean,
he passed that one test. He can identify a deer.
I read about that. Yeah.
I think there was a news article where he didn't know what the post office did.
Wow.
Yeah, what?
It was today.
Wow. That's crazy.
I didn't read the article, in all fairness.
Yeah.
I didn't read it, but in the article, it was making fun of him about that he did not actually know what the post office did. So they were making fun of him.
Oh, my God.
So I was like, whoa. Like, really? I want
Yeah.
Yeah. Investigate for yourself. I can't talk for... I didn't read the whole article. Yeah.
Is there anything that he's doing right,
So I have something that this is a real hot button topic as far as like the whole internet free net neutrality.
Oh yeah.
Like I someone that I know is arguing in favor of getting rid of net neutrality protections. Okay. And also,
I mean, they already did.
I know, but like because people on the internet are like complaining that we need to keep the internet an open
of course,
internet, right? I mean, that's how my show is brought to you. So no, but basically he was saying that by deregulating everything, by having almost
the Wild West.
Yeah. No, I meant like just everything from every business. The less regulations, the better, because regulations only make problems.
We found out in the Great Depression that that's not true. So you do need some regulation.
You do, but the government can't constantly be on everything. I think there has to be a limit in how much they are involved. Now you're right, exactly. Like what happened in 2008.
Yeah,
though it was the wild west with the housing market.
It was.
People's dogs were financing homes.
Wasn't the 2008 the housing bubble?
Everything leading
wasn't
up to
the housing
08.
bubble caused by government?
No.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
Well, it was.
Bill Clinton.
There was early on
the
in '98
bill or whatever.
Because it incentivized.
He said that minorities have the right to be able to get
so they got
into
money.
the housing.
Yeah.
Getting loans from banks and everything. So what he did was he made it to where they had to be able to get into those type of markets, be able to get loans
Yeah.
a little bit more freely, and so they ended up, opening that up.
But it was
It's a deregulation almost.
No,
it was a situation where the banks were
made it easy.
incentivized to give loans out to
Yes,
poor people
correct.
that can't afford it.
That's
Yes.
correct.
So it wasn't a natural thing. If that incentive wasn't there, the banks wouldn't have given these toxic loans because that would have been a bad business decision.
Correct. And then we would,
When their money's
you
insured,
and I wouldn't be the
when
ones cleaning that shit up.
when their money's insured, well, fuck, it's free money, right? So that is what it's essentially a regulation that caused it, not the free market.
Yeah, but as soon as the banks started seeing that money rolling in, they kept it going. So the banks had something to do with it too.
Of course they did.
They got greedy.
There was an incentive to do
There
it.
was an incentive. But
So free market wouldn't have done it though. Free market banks wouldn't have given me a loan because I can't afford it.
The problem
they would have with the higher interest rate.
The problem with
They would.
deregulating things is that you allow people to get creative, and then there's certain situations that come up where there's conflict of interest, that arise, and I think there is a term that comes from it. It's I can't think of it right now, but it's the fact that you're playing with somebody else's money, that isn't yours. And it's hazard, something hazard, moral hazard. There you go, moral hazard.
Yeah, I've heard that term before.
So the moral hazard is like this: you're actually being able to play with somebody else's money, and I'll get the correct term, but if you look up moral hazard, that is a huge thing that comes up, and especially in business and insurance. And insurance uses that term a lot. So if you want to get informed, look up moral hazard. It's actually a crazy topic.
So
You have to have that fiduciary responsibility to make sure that the money's invested, money's being made, and money,
Because if you think about it, banks are betting with your money, the money you deposit. So for them to be, a loan officer doesn't have anything that holds him back from saying, okay, you're approved. So they can just say, you know what, your paperwork looks good, I'm going to go ahead and approve your loan. I mean, he's not messing with his own money, he's messing with the bank's money, which happens to be the people's money. So it has a lot to do with it, think about it.
So that's another. Well, going back to my regulation topic, I guess, mini topic, I guess, is whenever I've seen like this graphic that popped up on my Facebook feed of where like this country, I forgot which South American country it was. It was like this country doesn't have net neutrality regulations, and so you actually saw their internet bundle. It looked like a cable package, whereas like you pay $10 for Netflix and Hulu, and then pay another $10 or for this website, Amazon.
So you're like double paying,
like eBay, yeah. So you have like the basic internet, which is like limited access to like email and shit and websites, and then you have the streaming package. It's like an add-on. So it's
But that just sounds like I'm paying more, doesn't it?
It does, or maybe
No, you're customizing what you're using your internet for.
Yeah,
So
you
like-
could end up paying less if all you're gonna do is just
emails,
use social media, then just
yeah.
buy the social media package and get Facebook and Twitter, and then I'm not gonna.
Yeah, but it still limits you.
Yeah,
It doesn't give you the freedom to explore, to do other things without having to pay money for it.
And so that's that's when deregulating comes in. If everything was deregulated, what happens is you
They
get
could charge you for every website you attend.
no competition will keep you from being predatory.
So remind me,
So-
Louis, the net neutrality bill that was just
Revoked.
passed.
It wasn't a
No.
bill. I think it was
FCC
FCC actually.
that just
But
ruled.
what does that mean to us? What they did? Was it a renewal?
That means
or
that
what was
that
it?
means that the internet service providers like Charter and AT&T, Verizon, they have control over their infrastructure.
Right.
That means that they can throttle stuff. They can
Yes.
they can
If
keep
you wanna
they can
get on
gatekeep
Netflix and
they can
that's-
I
gatekeep
got
you.
you.
Is that
Yeah.
that's not their service?
Yeah.
You can be buffering all day. Just sitting
Yeah,
there
because they
buffering.
won't let you.
Got you.
Because
that's what I'll
Now,
that.
prior to this, that was not
No,
that was
because
not the case.
Obama made
He
sure
right.
that was-
So did something expire, or did Trump or
no.
So the guy
Ajit Pai was the new chairman of the
Right.
FCC.
with the
and
big
his,
old Reese's Pieces
yeah,
coffee cup?
and his
Okay.
his initiative was to deregulate and get rid of all those FCC the net neutrality
And
protection.
The crazy thing about it is, even when I hear him talk, I still think he sounds dumb. I'm like, really? That doesn't make sense. What you're saying?
All right.
Big old cup is not.
Okay,
gonna
I'm
make
glad
it.
that
All
I'm
right.
glad you brought me up to speed because I
All
remember
right.
now. You're right.
So Okay. So the issue is the fear is that the internet service providers, the fact that we're on a bit of an oligopoly because there's very limited choice.
Right.
The fear is that they will control everything and then they will force you to pay more. That all of a sudden, if you want to have access to Netflix, you got to pay $10 more. If you want access to Hulu, another $10 more.
That's crap.
If you want access to
That's crap.
on top of paying for the
That's crap.
That is the fear. However,
so it's already happened, by the way, and I think it was like AT&T was doing this campaign. They spent millions of dollars on this campaign. No, man, let's go ahead and do this thing. The net neutrality. Let's get rid of it and blah blah blah. The first thing they did was, this was on the news.
AT&T gave out bonuses.
AT&T actually started throttling some other services as they said no.
No.
Stand by.
No, it's not. It was AT&T, but no, I was actually going to add to that. AT&T actually throttled services, but actually pushed the services that AT&T owns.
Yes,
I forgot
correct.
which apps.
But
it was an app that's owned by AT&T.
Which is exactly what everybody was afraid of doing.
So with the changes that were made, it made it possible for AT&T to do that legally.
Legally, because there's no.
So as consumers, we're actually losing because they're manipulating what we have access to and what we don't.
So, but that's
like you said, the buffering thing.
That's the argument that my friend is making. He says that because a
Well,
business.
there's no pros to this.
No.
I can't think of a pro.
AT&T, I think, launched a package or something. Where you
I'm sorry. Real quick, I don't want.
I haven't even got to the pros yet. I haven't got to the upswing.
So there's no upswing here. There's no pros. But why the guy's name Sanjay or what's his name?
Ajit Pai.
Ajit Pai. Okay, I do remember seeing him on. So that was his thing he wanted to do. What benefit other than, because I know that there's businesses like AT&T that probably paid a lot of money to
Verizon. He was a former Verizon employee.
Right. What do you call those guys that
a corporate show?
No, the guys that go to Washington.
Lobbyists.
Lobbyists. I'm sure they paid millions of dollars to lobbyists.
Yeah, they were lobbying like crazy. Yeah.
But for the consumer, what benefit are
there is?
And what consumer group backed us up is what I want to know.
No consumer groups backed us up. I just want to throw it out
Why?
there. There was a lot of the Americans that did a survey of and it was across the board, both left and right, actually agreed that 81% of all Americans wanted to keep the net neutrality protections in place.
John Oliver had an episode about this.
Yes.
And he said that we could go online and we could sign a petition.
FCC yourself.
FCC petition. But so what happened with that?
People did sign it, but it got
denied or something?
No. It got what's the word?
And that panel is full of
the FCC thing that I'm talking that John Oliver talking about. It got poisoned. The well got poisoned because there's this allegations of bots that were fake posting.
Yes. Yeah, I remember now.
And so the results kind of had to get thrown out because you don't know who was a real person that was actually writing a message or who was putting a roboto message, because John Oliver gave you a template that you can copy and paste. So it doesn't make you individual.
Correct.
So, but
thanks, John Oliver. Your fault.
But on top of the bots that were supporting it. So, there's So you can't, and also the FCC hasn't disclosed the number and the actual data itself. They just kept it secret for some odd reason. So here's the upswing. All right.
Go ahead.
A business is like a living person. You have to treat it as its own entity.
Yeah, of course.
And so if I am AT&T or if I'm Charter, and I have paid millions of dollars in infrastructure, investing in these pipes, I should be able to do with with them what I want.
If you look at it from that perspective,
Yes.
From a business perspective, yes.
So, however, because from a business perspective, you're the customer, you have the right to choose who are you going to do business with, who are you going to be doing transactions with.
Yeah.
So if I'm Charter and I'm screwing you over, or you think I'm screwing you over, you take your business to someone else.
Right.
And if no one else can provide you that business that you want, the deal that you're wanting, the package that you want, then you can actually just decide to not be on the internet, or you can start your own internet company. Because if there's no red tape to prevent you from making your own infrastructure, then you can do it.
Well, it sounds to me like I would need a lot of millions of dollars to be able to do that.
It takes
there's no upswing to that.
Millions of billions
billions
to get a nice freaking network started.
And no one's gonna loan you that money
servers.
because you're gonna be like, you're competing against AT&T. Get the hell out of my office. You know what I mean?
Well, no, I know.
So what you're saying theoretically is
theory,
right, but that doesn't make any
In
sense.
theory, nobody can actually.
But no,
start
but the
a
thing
business
is,
and you know
internet
that.
service
but the
providing.
thing is, I can't start an internet company right now as easily because of so much red tape that's preventing me from even getting in.
Yeah, but that doesn't change it. Net neutrality, getting rid of that doesn't actually.
Basically,
Make that easier.
what Ajit Pai is trying to accomplish now, which again, I don't necessarily know if that's true or not, but I mean, like the facts. What I meant. What Ajit Pai is ultimately trying to say in his defense is that he wants it to not be an oligopoly anymore. He wants more ISPs to exist. He wants more competition. And by getting rid
But
of
does
all
it
this
really promote competition? I don't think it does. What you're saying is it's going to give us options to go get to more companies. But if they're gonna screw us by selling us these packages like this Netflix package, I don't want to pay for that.
Then
I want.
Then don't.
Well, if everybody's going to be offering that,
around here and wait until somebody can offer me that.
I mean, you can go to
You know what I
AT&T, you can go to Verizon, Sprint, you
Those
can
are
go
the
to.
oligarchs or whatever. I'm talking about the guy that's going to come up out of nowhere and start his own ISP, which costs millions of billions of dollars probably for infrastructure. And I have to wait for that guy to offer me a package where I could just roam freely through the internet. Because what if I like some of what Charter wants, some of what AT&T, and some of Verizon?
because they're not all going to offer
I don't
everything the
all-
same.
They don't all offer because they all their own individual things, and I like different things.
Different corporations
So,
are gonna
how does
want
that
their business through them. You know
Well,
what
I mean, as a consumer, you have to make that decision for
Now-
yourself.
See,
Like that's a
that-
thing.
Now, with all that being said, how does and we have to look at both sides.
If Charter loses so many
sometimes-
subscribers, they will change their business
Sometimes
practices.
I like going to McDonald's. Sometimes I like going to Jack in the Box.
Mhm.
Sometimes I like going to Whataburger. All right. So sometimes I like to go to a buffet. All right. So what I'm trying to say is, I can't sit there and just eat McDonald's every day. I can't just be with AT&T all the time. I want to be able to go anywhere I want, no matter what. That's what I'm trying to say. So
Then you can do that.
yeah, but if it costs me a shit ton of money to move from one internet service provider to go to another internet service provider because you always have contracts or all this shit that you got to do just to switch from one to the other, that is a problem.
Yes.
For me. So it's not as easy as just like, oh, well, I'm going to dump you and come over here. They always want you to sign a contract of some sort.
Yeah.
Like I said, that's
Always.
his person has argued the extreme. Like he even said, like if you don't think they're, he gave me like the most bizarre ultimatums. Where it's like, if you don't like any ISPs, then don't be on the internet. Don't pay for internet. I'm like, what? He's like, no, you don't need internet. I'm like, no, I need internet. First off, like, and secondly, and then the second thing was, it's like, and then the second thing was, it's like, and if this company is in Kansas, then you can move to Kansas if they're offering you what you want. Like, if it's that important to you, then you can move. I'm like, no. I'm like, that is not an option. It's like everything is an option. He's arguing the extremes. Like he says, everything is an option.
Your friend, you're talking about your friend, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, your friend's crazy.
Yeah, he doesn't know how to argue.
I invited him to the show, but he didn't answer.
So check this out. Here's the thing. Let's go back to the Obama era rules regarding this net neutrality thing.
I don't think I did his arguments justice, but let me just throw that out there. He did a better job of explaining it to me because every time I try to refute him, he has a solution or he has a rebuttal.
So what would have happened if things stayed the same? What Obama approved or under his administration before these changes. What if things stayed that way? How will the consumers win or lose, and how will corporations win or lose? Because I can't be honest and say, for example, I know people that have the Fire Sticks. I know people that have.
Oh yeah, they can block the shit out.
They have different exactly. I know there's different things that they do to get free services like Netflix or internet or whatever. We all know about the dark web. We could go in and so. Are corporations losing money because of people like that? That are going behind, these things and watching free movies or free shows or whatever. Is net neutrality what we know now? Is that to kind of stop that? Is this a response to people getting free services by finding a loophole, or what's your opinion on that?
I'm not sure. More about it. I'm not sure because I don't I'm in this gray area where I don't know what to believe.
Right.
I don't know if losing these regulations are a benefit to us by increasing competition.
It doesn't sound like it is
or
to me.
if it's or if the way things were just fine, and because ultimately the way my friend explained it to me is that if these protections stayed in place, ultimately it doesn't give incentive to the ISPs to continue to improve their network, to improve their infrastructure. Okay. Because, well, why? I have no incentive to. I have no incentive to make my services better if I have to make sure that all of my pipelines are. So
there's a lot of ISPs
that
didn't like this new change as well, because now they
the ISPs
wanted it.
As a matter of fact, the ISPs like AT&T over the holidays, they gave their employees a bonus because of the passing of the So, but I don't know. This is one of those topics where I
needed to get more informed.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if there's a solution to this, because I mean, honestly, at least in this situation, because they're about to in like later this month in April is when they officially end. Because it passed in December,
right? But
it gets enacted in April.
Okay.
But also states, like actual states, are suing the government to overturn it.
Right.
So it could be about a year or so or two before we actually truly get the final word. But in this brave new world that we're going to be in the internet, maybe it's for the better or maybe it's for the worse, but we won't know until after we've crossed that bridge.
Listen, we live in the land of the free, and freedom brings. I want to be able to free to do whatever the hell I want on the internet. That's all I'm saying.
And ISPs want to be free to do whatever they want on their infrastructure.
Well, I'm the consumer. I'm the one who pays.
They do have the freedom to do what they want on their infrastructure. They don't have the incentive to spend millions of dollars to keep on improving it, because they only have so many customers. You know what I'm saying? Like, they can't get any more customers. That's why with net neutrality, they may be able to customize a package that might be appealing to somebody or to certain people, and they could gain more. But at the same time, I think
think about it like a Spirit Airlines model. Like, imagine imagine
don't even bring them up. I hate them so much.
Imagine a situation where like you can buy like the most basic of internet, because that's all I need. If I'm a poor person, I can buy the Spirit Airlines package.
Spirit Airline is a bad example, Louis. I end up spending more money on Spirit Airline than like the best airline out there.
Here's a crazy
baggage
thing.
Stuff.
Like you said, it was an oligarchy, right? Because there's only a few, right?
Yeah, like an airline industry,
so
there's only a few.
There's only a few.
Right.
But there's millions and billions of us. So who are you trying to satisfy? The ones or twos or threes that are
who has the power?
Executives?
Who has the power?
Or the millions and billions of people who pay you? Who are you going to try to satisfy?
Who has the money?
In business,
where we have 400 million people almost living here now.
In business, it's give or take. I mean, it's give and take.
Okay, but who are you trying to satisfy? Is the customer right, or is the business right?
It's a little bit.
What, are we changing it now?
I don't know.
As far as I know, the customer's always right. It's always been that way, and unless businesses are trying to change it now, I mean, I don't know what to say anymore. I mean, really?
Hey, apparently they all got together. They got money together.
Is this the United States of America or the United States of corporations? Which one is it?
United States of
corporations.
Capitalism. Yeah. The United States of capitalism.
They have money. I guess if we all had billions of dollars,
we give them money. That's the.
And what I'm saying, if we had billions of dollars, and we could fight it, we could get good.
I've given Samsung $1,000 out of my own pocket. Don't
even talk about that right now.
I made a conscious decision to part with $1,000.
Here's the crazy thing right there. I sounded like a Democrat right there.
You did. Well, that's why you're more centered. You know what I mean? Like, you said that to begin with.
We didn't even catch that.
Yeah, we didn't.
Yeah, like, oh, wait, you sound like a Democrat. Right
yeah.
Now. And I understand.
So I know the solution to this. The government should subsidize our internet expenses. We should be able to. We should be able to, itemize that.
Yeah.
And get like a 30%.
Well, right. Our water bill and electric bill too.
Yeah.
Well, that was a good topic. You threw us on
the net neutrality.
I think we need to get.
All right, we're done. I think that topic. Let's go. Next one.
That's a good one. I'm going to learn more about it.
We're going to it. All right.
I'm glad you brought it up, by the way.
Yeah.
That's a good one. I need to learn more about it.
So our next topic.
Oh, bring that up.
I'm not showing the face.
Don't show the face.
I'm not showing the face.
Don't show the face.
In case you don't know what that is, that right there, that shit right there, that's license to carry, right?
Yeah.
Or AKA license to kill. I'm playing.
Like I suddenly have hairs in my nuts now.
Yeah.
Nah.
Only because you let it grow out for the winter.
I'm celebrating like Republicans. I love it.
You know what's really hilarious about the situation is that I took the course with a friend of mine, and we were the only 2 Hispanics in there, and there were nothing but white people in that room.
I was the only Hispanic in mine. There was like 20 white guys in there. Like, they were like, "Oh,
that's
wow,
crazy.
You're in the military? Oh, awesome, man! That's awesome." You know, I'm like, "Damn, all right, cool, man. I got it. I'm new. Let's get in there. Shit."
You guys
They're
have
like-
your.
they were
you guys
surprised I was
have your
there.
licenses, right?
I don't have my license.
I have mine. I'm already on my
I
6th year.
carry dirty. I don't carry at all.
You can carry.
I protect my house.
For those of you who don't know, in
Tell
Texas,
us.
you can legally carry your weapon in your car because it's an extension of your home.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, I know that.
I do that. I keep them in my house and in my car, but I don't like carry it in my purse. I mean, in my pocket.
In your holster, in a holster. Or
No,
whatever?
I don't carry it outside of that. I carry it in my car or my house. Mostly
That's
my
it.
house.
That's it.
You know?
all right, okay.
So
Well, the big issue, I guess, is gun control, right?
yes.
The only thing I have
kinda
for gun
scared.
control,
Kinda
gun
scared.
control is, breathing, trigger squeeze, controlling the
Control.
gun, and then being
Control
able to
it.
shoot.
Controlling
That's the only thing you control. Now, that's very NRA of us to say, but it is a very hot topic for sure. Very divisive.
Especially after Florida.
Yeah.
Parkland.
Parkland, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
My heart goes out to them. I want to let you know that I'm a decent human being, and I understand the situations that people
Are
go
you
through.
decent?
I mean, I'm hoping, but my heart goes out to them. And
So there was the marches.
they're
that the
they're campaigning hard.
Students actually.
They're
did.
campaigning hard for more.
They're doing walkouts.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're campaigning hard to be anti-gun, I guess.
Mhm.
And it's I think it's very naive for them, to not understand what the actual issue is. Now, they have a fair point. Don't get me wrong, and this is the divisive part. If I, as a little kid, my little kid in me would be afraid of the man I am now, because when I was little, I was afraid of guns, and then all of a sudden I learned how to use one, and my brother can tell you, we saw the videos on HBO where the kids got killed and they shot themselves. They showed
Michael Moore did.
I mean,
that influenced me a lot.
That
by the
influenced
way.
me a lot. I was afraid of guns,
And it made me afraid of guns.
yeah.
Going
made
for
me afraid of
Columbine made me
guns.
afraid of guns.
Yeah, and
No, that was really big.
it was a crazy thing. Yeah.
And you were young, young when that came out.
And I remember when Columbine happened. I was in high school when that happened, and everybody was talking about trench coats.
And then Sandy Hook happened, and then there was a Virginia Tech happened, and
The Colorado,
when I was in high school,
the
actually.
Colorado theater shooting.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That was a big one, and I'm very sympathetic to that, man. Anytime that you hear about kids getting shot in elementary school, the most vulnerable, innocent beings in this earth. But
Schools
but the question here isn't the question here isn't, do guns kill people? The question honestly is, what is a happy medium from a political standpoint and a social standpoint? What is it that's going to make me as a citizen know that I could expect my child to come home at the end of the day? You know what I mean? I believe in the Second Amendment. I have a gun, right? But we don't know who our neighbors are anymore. We don't know who's the next guy that's going to walk into school and start shooting. What are some of the safeguards? What are some of the things that we can control? And I think the topic and the conversation is very difficult. And I think as a society, what makes it even harder is that we don't know. We don't know how to talk about these things. We all have an opinion about what we could do, but when we talk about opinions, things get very blurry and things get very, very heated. Mm-hmm. And I think when we talk about gun control, we need to talk about that. We need to talk about how can we come up with some solutions. And honestly, what's very scary for me is that no one has came out with anything that's very specific.
Oh, I got one.
And I hope you do. And I haven't really done a lot of research, but what I'm talking about is anytime there is mass shootings or a situation that comes up, no one talks about solutions, long-term solutions. All we talk about, either you're for it or you're against it. And if you're for it, you're the devil. And if you're against it, and I hate that. I hate that we can't get past that. And another thing that I hate is that our president isn't very clear about these things.
Seth Meyers would have me believe that his opinions are always based off of who's in the room with them. I just want to throw that out there.
But see, he's a leader. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what I want to know about you two guys, is that what are some of the solutions that we can?
I have a solution, maybe a little tongue-in-cheek here. All right, so...
Well, let me, before you say your solution, I just want to throw out my fake-ass solution, which is not an actual solution.
Come on,
but
man.
I was about to throw one out there.
I just want to throw this out because it's not a serious one.
Okay, go
but
ahead.
In my La La Land, where the unicorns exist and they shit out rainbows, all right?
They do shit out rainbows.
Okay, that's it. I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah.
La La Land, okay? Somehow, some way, we uninvent guns. There. Boom, boom.
That's real quick.
That's my solution. But again, not a very respectable one, not a real one.
But okay, go ahead.
Here's mine.
That's not an actual. I was just joking.
If you can make a law where all the criminals turn in their guns, I might turn in my gun too. That's all I'm saying.
Why?
Because criminals don't have guns. They don't have
Oh.
a way for. But here's another thing. You gotta understand where the Constitution actually comes in. It's not, the Constitution wasn't really built around criminals or whatnot. They are saying that you have to have the power to overthrow a government that is run by tyrants.
Absolutely.
Tyranny. That's the whole point of us being able to have a militia, organize ourselves, and have weapons to defend ourselves.
Absolutely.
The government should not be afraid.
So
that's a good point.
The people should not be afraid of its government.
So we're sitting here thinking about like, guns kill people and all that stuff, and I understand that, man. Guns do kill people, but it's the people that pull the trigger that kill people. Because guns don't discriminate, right? Bullets don't discriminate.
Sentient, yeah.
All right, it's not a sentient being.
Yeah.
You pull the trigger, that bullet's gonna go exactly where it was shot at in that angle. And it won't stop until either something stops it or it lands where it needs to go. That's all I'm saying. So, is it a tool? Absolutely. You want to know what kills more people than guns? Cars. Drunk drivers even kill probably more people than bullets do. So let me tell you something. If you want to come up with the law, why don't we go ahead and get rid of cars? Because that kills more people than guns ever do. If you want to go to war with anything, why don't we go to war against drugs? Drugs probably kill more people than anything guns ever done. All right, so we're sitting here like, we're gonna make fucking all of these freaking rules and laws and everything. But let me tell you something. The only people who follow the laws are the law-abiding citizens. We're not talking about criminals here. Let me tell you something. If somebody really wanted to do something, if a gun wasn't available to them, then they will figure out some other way to kill somebody. You can make bombs. Go to online, and I'm not supporting this. You can go online and find the Anarchist Cookbook and actually build yourself a bomb.
And don't think you won't be.
You mean this one?
And don't think you won't be flat.
I'm just saying that an insane person is insane, or a psychotic person, or whatever the case may be. If a person is not in the right mental state and they want to inflict damage, they can figure out a way to do it without a gun. Gun is just an instrument, okay?
We should ban pressure cookers.
There you go. Yeah, let's abandon the pressure cookers. If you're gonna go to the store and buy a pressure cooker, I think that you need to go actually do a registration, and you need to go through a 1-day suspension.
Hold on, you're going too far with that. Only if you're brown.
No, I'm just saying, if you want to go ahead. All I'm saying is you can't regulate everything. All right, there are crazy people out there.
Okay, so if you were in a position of change in terms of legislation, what would you do? What would you do to protect your children in their schools?
Well,
long term. I'm talking about
long term. I would like for somebody to be there. And luckily, in our school systems here where we live,
there's officers there.
There are officers there. Okay, so then you might throw in like, well, what about the Parkland officers, the ones that they didn't react quite
or whatever the way that we would want them.
Listen, every situation is different. Absolutely. But most people that are in the police or law enforcement, they're there to do their duty. Okay, you know, not everybody's going to be the exact same, but I just want to make sure that somebody's there. Somebody's there. I'm not saying arm the teachers. If the teacher wants to be armed, I don't think that you need to take that right away.
That's a disaster.
If they want to arm themselves, let them arm themselves. Okay, I'm just saying they want to. If they feel safer, you know, if it gets to the point where there's so many shootings and they want to arm themselves, you know what? They are citizens just like anyone else, and if they feel more comfortable being armed, okay, fine. And in Texas, they can arm themselves. You know,
I thought most schools were gun-free zones and stuff like that.
Guns. Yeah, schools are gun-free zones.
So they would have to get special permission to do so.
Yeah, but Texas is one of those states, believe it or not.
Yeah.
So we can have you know, teachers that are armed, and it's up to the school district, and it's up to a whole bunch of other people, whatever the case may be. But in Texas, it is allowed. Now, all I'm saying is, I would love for a police officers to be assigned to the school. Colleges have police officers. They actually have police departments
on campus. Yeah,
their own
on
private
campus.
security,
They have their own
yeah.
private, you know, police departments. So, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with that?
So school districts should have their own police, or
Hey, why
you know.
not? You know what? Why not?
I always believed that police presence in schools, like when I grew up, was a deterrent. You know, for you know, there was a lot of gangs or whatever. You know, when I went to school, and I always felt like it was a deterrent. But the example that you gave me earlier, violent people, crazy people, whatever, they're gonna commit a crime no matter what. Yeah. It's kind of like if there's a lock on a door, that lock is only preventing. For somebody honest to go through it. A dishonest person's going to figure out how to do it.
We'll find a window or something.
But here's the thing.
When you make a law, there's always a black market for something.
Absolutely.
Prohibition.
It actually...
Well, besides prohibition, it doesn't matter. You
black
make a
market.
Law, there's something on the other side. There's a reason why they made the law.
There's going to be business.
There's going to be a business behind of that law.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to
absolutely. You're right. So, guns... pressure cookers, knives, any tool used to kill people, that's not the problem. I think the problem is in our process, is in our legislation, and is in our leadership. I think that's been the problem. Somebody who hasn't been very clear about, hey, look, we're going to do something about this. Mass shootings, that's it. Mass shootings is part of our society now. And people argue, you know what? They've been happening for a very long time, especially during the civil rights movements. I mean, it's been part of our culture, but we haven't really known about it because it hasn't affected us as it is today. And social media and the media, it makes it very much easier for us to see it, you know, firsthand. But my long-term solution to this is, we need to have a bigger presence in our schools, in public places. I don't think that taking guns away from anybody is going to... I'm talking about law-abiding citizens. Right. There are a lot of people that are felons that come into guns, like in Chicago. It's a capital. It's like the gun capital of the U.S.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. That you can walk into a house and they can have a room full of guns, and they say, man, it's not hard to get guns. My question is, what is the government doing again, you know, about drugs and guns, about disenfranchised neighborhoods? What are we doing? I think if we had a better stronghold on these neighborhoods, it will make it difficult for crazy people to get guns. It will. You said that earlier. You said we need to do something about drugs. We need to do something about, you know, about people, criminals. We got to make it harder for them. Right now, I honestly think that if there's a business in government for them not to do anything about it. I think there's more money to be made with the parole offices. There's more money to be making in incarceration. We have 2.5 million people incarcerated. Nice. The government is making more money per capita on that than they are on trying to control people killing people. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm talking about mass shootings. So, and our leadership, our personal leadership, our president, I don't think he's vocal enough about what he's planning on doing. You know, That's what I am disappointed at, and I'm also disappointed in the fact that we can't have these type of conversations with each other, for 20 minutes about what we could do to fix it. We're not organized. We're not doing anything about it. So long term, I would like to see us to get more organized, and I would like to see our government get more involved with the reduction in drugs and crime. I think if you do that, you'll prevent crazy people like me getting guns and killing people.
So basically, it's a systemic problem. Where
It's very systemic.
If you solve the underlying factors, like the socioeconomic factors, it will deter. It'll remedy it. Okay.
I believe that. That's the root problem.
Yes.
That's the root problem.
And I'm glad you talked about root problems because it's one of my.
Okay.
Next topic.
Sweet. Actually, it's a good transition. There you go.
So, can I bring it up?
Go for it. Yeah, this is it. We're done.
So, I think the root problem that I wanted to talk about was the human condition. Where are we at? Where are we at? As a society, where do you think we're at?
We become more and more disconnected. Like, okay, here's
but we're
here.
getting disconnected.
Yes.
Very disconnected.
Okay, so here's my little
Absolutely.
Theory that I got that I've between TED Talks and stuff that I've taken in. My little theory is that the Internet of Everything has made it so that everything is just done through here.
Mm-hmm.
When we go to dinner to a restaurant, we're not talking to each other.
I'm ordering my food through there.
Hey, they come up with an article where it's something called phubbing now, or something like that, or phubbing.
What is that?
So, or I think it's called phubbing. It's PHUBBING or something like that. So phubbing, I think I'm saying it right. You might have to look it up.
This is new to me.
Phubbing is something that people do now, and it's a term that's come up. And I was like, "What the heck is that?" So I had to read it. So phubbing is when someone is talking to you and you go straight to your phone and then you start like messing with your phone while somebody's talking to you. Wow. It's almost like you're putting them, you're phubbing
barrier.
Yeah, and you're like, I'm just sitting here on my phone while you're talking to me, but I'm really paying more attention to my phone.
Which, by the way, that's very annoying.
Yeah.
I get phubbed
by the way,
all
as
day.
a separate side note, anytime I ever go out to a restaurant, I don't have my phone out. Like ever.
That's a rule at our house. Like Jason and Marissa, when they have their phones, even me, like I tell them, call me out. Like if you guys see me with my phone, like sometimes I'll have my laptop out and I'm working and then we're trying to eat and they're like, "Hey, Dad, no electronics." So that prevents me from being that jerk.
Yeah,
but
I made
we are disconnected.
And I made my friends do that too. When we had time to go out with
Tell
like my Eric or Edgar and all the other former cast members,
Fubbers.
That's like I basically said like everybody at the table except for me was all on their phones, and then like I called them out. Wow. We're at Buffalo Wild Wings, and I called them out, and then everyone just puts it away, and then we actually talk to each other.
And we don't have to go very far. That was about 3 years ago. We had a Thanksgiving dinner. We were at your old house.
Oh yeah.
And somebody took a picture.
Christmas.
I don't know what it was.
No,
it was Christmas.
But we had a square table. There was about at least 8 of us on the table, and every single one of us.
Picture on screen right now.
We put it on screen. We were all on our phones or our tablets, and
DSs. Yeah, my mom took a picture.
And
look, this is where we're at.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh shit.
Yeah,
that's horrible. That's really horrible. Anyways, go ahead. And
no, but like, so my little takeaway from this is social media has made everything so much more insular. You become friends and follow the people that you agree with, and you don't. Yeah. It becomes an echo chamber. It becomes an echo chamber. So as everyone becomes more and more insular and echo chambery, you get to the point where there's a disconnect. Like people don't operate under the same facts. So, for instance, in the 80s, it was a bit of a monoculture. Hollywood and the press told us, here's your entertainment. Here's your entertainment. Everybody was on the same page.
Right.
So there was a little less chaos as far as like a divide happening because it was a monoculture. But now everyone has like watches their own stuff, and entertainment for the most part it does influence how we think. I would go with that. Culture. So you watch, like if you watch the CW or you watch Fox or you watch NBC, you might a deeper reading of your entertainment will give you a different conclusion.
Right.
So as a result of everyone having their own microcosms, cultures, you have this lack of agreement between everyone.
So, kind of
that's my human condition.
Of course, the human condition.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I think we're at the point where everybody's opinion has to matter more than anyone else's.
I mean,
you're hearing it.
Well, I definitely have to have a lot of likes on Facebook.
Everybody has to say something,
right?
You know that it's their opinion and it has to matter. You know, and it's good. Don't get me wrong. You know, everybody wants to be heard.
Separate side note: this podcast, I don't have to go through a gatekeeper to put it on the internet.
That's true.
Okay. On iTunes. That's true. On iTunes, yeah. So
that's
throwing that out.
So I think everybody has an opinion about everything, right? So does it get to the point where I have to watch what I'm saying? I can't really say my opinion because, let's just say, for instance, you had 1 million followers.
Okay.
And I came here to talk about my opinion, but yet you know your followers, you know the stats of the people following you, you know what they believe, and what they think, right? What if I start saying my opinion that is the opposite of what your followers believe?
I'll lose followers.
Right?
Yeah.
So
I would lose influence.
Isn't that like a little counterproductive to having a good conversation? Like saying, hey, you know what, you have your opinion, I have mine. Or are you only going to invite everybody to give you fluff to add to?
No, that's kind of what he's talking about.
No, that actually happened on one of my comments of a previous video.
There you go.
Where Juan Vargas came up with a controversial topic, and then somebody on my comment section called me out on giving him a platform to spew his hate speech.
So it was a hate speech that
you
gave him.
Yeah.
Right. And so, and what?
And that I shouldn't, that by putting him on my channel, I essentially, even though I don't actually endorse him with my words in the video, by giving him a platform, I endorse him.
Okay, so everybody has an opinion. One of the biggest opinions I have now, not opinion, well, it isn't my opinion. One of the things that I think is so weird is, have you ever seen a video where a parent is disciplining their child? And they say, that's too excessive.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks that, and I'm thinking, that wasn't hard enough. You know, like everybody's like, well, oh my God, she's beating his child, and I'm sitting there like, hell yeah, fucking go harder, you know? And everybody's sitting there like.
Or you see like a video of like where the parent makes his kid like bash with the bat his Xbox and stuff.
You know, or something, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's abuse.
No, but I see these like kids being like spoiled and entitled and all that stuff. It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. And for me, it's like, okay, kids need to be taught respect for one. Okay.
Which that's in short supply.
Okay, they have to be taught respect, especially their parents, especially the people around them, right? And the human condition now is like, okay, I have my idea of how to discipline children, right? So therefore, it's faux pas to discipline your children in a very heavy-handed way. You know, I think I saw somebody say, well, this was a psychologist or something like that, and you'd have to look this up, but they said that people that are disciplined with a heavy hand are overly aggressive in life. And I said, really? Well, I mean, that didn't happen to me. I mean, I'm pretty sure I'm not a violent person, okay? I'm not a violent person. I don't, I discipline my kids, kind of like the way my parents discipline me, but that's because I do it out of love, you know? I want them to see.
And they know that.
And they know that. The way I discipline my kids is like, hey, before I spank them, I tell them, hey,
why?
This is the reason why I'm spanking you, and you're gonna repeat to me before I spank you, and they're crying. They know what's coming, and I said, this is how many times I'm gonna spank you, and this is why I'm spanking you, and then they have to repeat to me why I spanked them, and then I spank them. It's kind of crazy, right? So then they do that, and then after I'm done, I said, why? I asked them again, why did I spank you? Because I want you to understand. I want to make sure that you understand why you got spanked. And they'll tell me, and they're crying because I already spanked them, And then I said, look, and then I tell them, I love you. I just want to make sure that you know that I love you, and I'm doing it because I love you, and I don't want you to do the same mistake again, right?
Operant conditioning.
So, we as human beings, the human condition, we learn through pain, no matter what, no matter how you want to say it. Pain can come in an emotional form. It can come in a physical form. It can come in any type of form. If it causes you angst or pain, that's how we learn as people, right? So, actions have consequences, and that's all I'm saying. So I think that people kind of get away from that, and I'm not sitting here trying to tell you have to spank your kids. You definitely have to figure out a way to cause any type of pain to your kid to know, that there is an action to the consequence. Now, some people will say, well, if I take away their Xbox, that's pain. That's painful. No, that really isn't.
Or their cell phones.
That really isn't, because I don't think it is. I don't think it's enough, to be honest with you. But again, just because I was spanked and disciplined, and I'll say spanked and disciplined. My dad was spanked us, and you know what? I had to go back, and I don't know. Maybe you were there. I'm maybe not sure, but I thank them. I thank my parents for it. I thank them for raising me the way they did, because hey, the world's a tough place. No matter what, the world is a tough place, and I have to be ready to know that if I do something wrong, it could either cost me my life, it could cost me pain, or there is an actual consequence to go with that. And I think we're getting away from that. Remember, this is an opinion. I'm saying I think a lot. I think that the human condition as we are now is we're allowing social media to dictate our thoughts and how we're thinking and how we're making our decisions. We're forgetting that there are actual people out there that actually do things, And it's kind of funny, because I was sitting here looking at the cool things that people do on social media. They'll post a photo, and they're doing some crazy cool shit, like skiing and out there ziplining through the forest. And
best of compilation.
They're freaking skydiving and shit, and I'm like, whoa, that's fucking cool. And I'm sitting there, I'm gonna hit like, And then I see they have like 200, 300 likes and shit. I was like, oh damn, cool. And I hit like because that's something I would like to do, right? But as I'm sitting here thinking about it, I was like, man, this is something I would like to do, but I probably will never get around to do it. But if I get off my lazy fat ass, I could probably go and do it. But I'm just sitting here liking what other people are doing and shit, and I'm thinking, well, I can go out there and actually do it instead of sitting here liking what they're doing. I mean, I'm just saying, I'm just throwing that out there. That's all I'm saying. That was a little long-winded, I'm sorry, but I'm just saying, actions have consequences, and we have to learn that from a very early childhood development, type of way. That's all I'm saying.
There's a big movement of a lot of people getting away from corporal punishment. Mm-hmm. I take my son to see a psychologist to help him cope with his ADHD, and the therapist will tell you straight up, corporal punishment, that's not good. That's not part of, and of course, me and my brother Juan, like we have a very similar thought process, and I have a video of exactly what my brother said with Jason the last time I spanked him. I had an interview with him prior to, explained to him why he was getting spanked. He explained it to me. I recorded me spanking him, and then afterwards, he was crying. And he explained to me why I spanked him. So I have that in video.
Or that time that you got.
So I will show him. I will show him later on. And luckily, he hasn't done anything to deserve a spanking. Yeah. And I do it with love. I do it very controlled.
Yeah. No, you just take it to the next level.
I don't know. It's just kind of, I make him count off. Hey, 6 or 7 spankings. And make him count, and then
my girls would get more for lying, by the way.
So exactly.
Got more for lying.
Like most of the time with Jason, it's never the infraction that he gets hit for. He gets that he's lying about it.
He tries to cover
that. Yeah, that's what he gets spanked for. So, but so he'll count down like, oh, all right, so 3, okay, all right, 4, and then I go, are we in 2? No, we're at 4 now. We're at 4. Okay, so I do that kind of stuff. But what I want to say is that the most one of the biggest movements, and I say movements because I hear this a lot at work. I hear this with a lot of people that I'm kind of close to, is that we don't spank our babies, we don't spank our kids, in Hollywood, you hear a lot of actors coming out that they have different forms of, and I think there is different ways to cause pain. I think, for example, the military style. You put somebody in a push position and hear you lecture them. That's pain. Yeah. You know what I mean? They're going to wake up sore, and they're going to remember, I'm sore today because I messed up and my dad was talking to me. What? Or they could get 2 16-ounce cans of tomatoes and hold them out straight out for about 30 minutes. They're going to be sore the next day. Their shoulders are going to be sore. They could be doing the wall sits, where they put their hand. There's different ways of disciplining your kids, and I think that each infraction deserves an escalation of that kind of thing. But let me tell you something. We have gotten away from that. I am guilty of that. Marissa, for example, she is sneaky. I think she gets away with a lot of things. I think I know that. Subconsciously, I know that.
She knows that
I made her do dishes earlier, and she was giving me, kickback. She was not wanting to do these dishes, and I almost gave in, but I didn't, and she did them. Okay, so when you walked in today, she was probably doing the dishes. I don't know if
she was very serious too.
She was mad. She was pissed off. So that's my fault. And here's the thing. It's kind of going to what he's saying is I rarely discipline her. But I will say that for the most part, Marissa, she is a good student. She is a good athlete. She is a good kid. But sneakily, I know for a fact that she does certain things.
She'll play her cards.
She'll play her. She'll play you. She'll play me. You know what I mean? And maybe I let her. Maybe I don't know. I don't know. But I'm catching on to it. I'm not gonna be letting her get away with it. And I've had a sit down conversation with her, saying, "Hey, I'm gonna focus more on you because I know that this is going on. Like I need to be more on top of you being a good person. You talked about this last night. Matter of fact, you said to be successful in life, you got to be good at these things. And man, I'm glad that you said those things, because I had a conversation on the way home. I'm like, look, I'm glad you heard it from him, because I told you the same thing. Yeah. It's true. You got to be organized in life. You got to be a good good kid. You got to be open-minded and have a good attitude, because in life, your boss is always going to tell you something. Your spouse is going to tell you something. Everybody's going to tell you something, and you have to have.
A hard place.
It is, like you said, it is. Yeah. So what I want to say is that the reason why we're seeing a lot of these violent acts by the way, a lot of young people, is because we are desensitized to a lot of crap that's out there, and because our upbringing was cush. It was, we're going to take your Xbox away.
That's exactly my what I was going to go with.
That's been going on since the late '90s, and I think it's been and fact check me, but athletes like Adrian Peterson, Mike Tyson, there's other, I can't name a lot of people. There's a lot of famous people that have gotten in trouble, and they were thrown under the bus by the media because they spanked their kids. And I saw the pictures for the Adrian Peterson case, and there's been many times that Jason has had markings on his butt because I spanked him. You know what I mean? And there's one time where I spanked him, and then he was kind of like, and then I went at it again, and I got him in his lower back. So, he had a bruise in his lower back. But it's not, I'm not a bad parent, and I wasn't abusing him. It was just that under the circumstances where I was pissed off, he moved, and, and that happened. But I don't feel like I need to go to jail. You know what I'm saying? I don't feel like I should go to jail. But I could tell you that the markings that I saw on that little kid, he was a 7 or 8 year old kid from Adrian Peterson, was very reminiscent to what Jason has had before. And it's, I
kind of scoffed at it, like, that's it.
Yeah, because,
it was bad. Don't get me wrong.
But people like Adrian Peterson, who's trying to discipline that boy, a young African-American boy in today's society, he's going to prevent him from being dumb, from being a child out in society, trying to, beat somebody up or with a knife, or I don't know. I mean, whatever. He's going to grow up to be a good kid, because his dad cared enough about him that he brought him true consequences today, And I told Jason, look, I'd rather you hate me today, because in the future, when you have your own kids, you're going to know that what I'm doing is for your benefit. And one day you're going to thank me. If your pride doesn't get in the way, one day you will thank me.
I thank my parents.
Me too. And I've told my parents the same thing. I told them, thank you for, beating me up.
So yeah.
So another thing I want to bring up, in the human condition. We've gotten away from honor. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, what does it mean to be honor? Honor means keeping your word. Okay, and you know I might be a victim of it. You know, a lot of time, and it's kind of a funny anecdote. You know, a friend of mine told me your word is your bond. So word is bond, no matter what. So you say you do it. It's the only thing you have in this world. My brother likes to bring it up with Scarface, and it is very true. Yeah. What was the thing that
there's only two things in this world that I got? It was my word and my balls, and I don't break those for nobody.
There you go. So if you don't have your word, you ain't got shit. There's only like literally you can take anything away from somebody. You can't take away their word. If they're an honest person and they say they're gonna do something and they do it, you're the only person that can take that away from yourself is your word. You say you do something, you do it, that's it. Nobody can take that away from you. You can sit there and do every single thing you've ever said, and when you die, somebody can say that was the most honest person, honorable person that has ever lived because they did exactly what they said. Now, I get in trouble with this sometimes because my wife's like, well, you don't keep your word with me. And I said, hey, I always tell you that I'm going to do something. I just don't tell you when I'm going to do something. so she tries to get me like that, you know. And so I never put a time on it, but I'll eventually do it.
It's like when you told Jason,
like 2 years later.
Jason told me the story about when you told him, like, hey, did you tell mom when you were going to pay her for the light bulb?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
You told me.
Yeah.
That stuck with him.
Talk to him about that.
That stuck with him. So he's like, I learned something. I go, you better not do that on me, man. You better not do that on me, man.
So the story goes like, well, you know, they told me that. So he messed up a light bulb or something, and
he had to pay for it. Or
he had eventually paid for a light bulb, and I said, but did you tell him when? Did you tell him
like,
when you were gonna do it?
And a light bulb went out on him, and he said, no,
I didn't actually.
So I'm rich.
Because I can do it whenever I want.
He came across some money, and
so
yeah.
But the thing is for those of you out there, you sit there, just think about what you've done in your life, and how many times you said you're gonna do something. And that goes to a lot of things that you don't even think about. Your resume. You know, you say, I'm there on time. Are you there on time? Do you get there most of the time, 99% of the time? I would say that's a good measuring stick. So if you're there like 99% of the time and something crazy happens, because even me, I like to be there 20 minutes early. The only thing that stops me from being there is like traffic. I wake up with plenty of time, and the times I've been late, it's all traffic related. Somebody get an accident, and what'd you say?
And the snooze button. Traffic and the snooze button.
No, the snooze button never gets me. I set my alarm, I wake up to it no matter what. It's done deal. So if you say you're going to be there on time to a job, you got to be there on time. I mean, that is like your word. Like, this guy shows up on time all the time. Yep. That is his word. He's saying he's going to be there on time, he's going to be there on time. So just remember that. If you're sitting there thinking, oh, well, you know, I always do what I say. Sometimes it's the things that you don't say. It's implied that you're going to do something. That automatically goes to what you're saying. I like being on time. That's an example, right? So
your word.
It's your word.
So Donald Trump, if you're listening to us, listen, please.
Yeah. So again,
Fox and Friends ain't fine.
Well, again, remember, think about all the things that you sit there and say, oh, well, I'm a very honorable person. I do what I say. Well, maybe you don't. You know, just sit there and think about it. I'm pretty sure people will start, you know, sniping the things that you do and you think that you're doing, and you're like, oh, shit. So ask the people around you and see if you're a very honorable person and you keep your word.
And if you're guilty, don't ask, because
this YouTube channel
hurt your self-esteem.
This YouTube channel is not an honorable person. I say all the things that I'm going to be up all the time, but
well, there's a caveat to that. Don't ask your spouse or significant other.
They'll call you out.
They'll call you out real quick.
Be like,
oh, well, here, and then they'll take out like, oh, this day you didn't do this. You know, you still haven't done this, and then they'll just keep going on and on. You think you're like the most shitbag person in your life. So
now I want to hear what you were going to say.
No, I wasn't really going to add too much to it, but other than just to say that you're talking about like the human conditioning and how we're being raised. I think I don't want to play the victim card here, but I'm not. I genuinely do.
You know what my brother told me yesterday?
Oh God! Oh, I just found this out like a month ago or 2 months ago.
I just found out last night.
What?
Yeah.
You used to get a freaking
$20 allowance.
Oh yeah.
Weekly.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes. You guys were already moved out of the house.
It doesn't matter. That doesn't make it better,
We
Louis.
did not get an allowance. We paid our parents money once we started.
I started working at 15.
And I didn't. And then as soon as I started working, that allowance.
After high school.
During high school, first off.
His senior year, semester.
Senior year, last semester.
started working
Senior year, last semester, yes.
I told you.
No.
So late. I was in middle school.
I don't even know. I wasn't in a rush to start working. Let's just put it that way. I mean, that's no. I actually don't want to play the victim card here on this. I actually, but I think that I did I kind of did get. I grew up soft. Yeah. Like really, and I think that really didn't. It hurt me in the long run.
It did.
Like there was this opinion piece back in high school, like the actual high school newspaper. They were talking about how everyone's being raised in a Fockerized society. You know how like in Ben Stiller's character, he had like a whole wall of just like accomplishments, which were like a lot of them were like participation stuff.
Like the Fokker.
Yeah,
like 16th place.
Yeah. So I didn't know they give away
Participation awards.
16th place trophies and stuff like that. Yeah. So basically, there was this opinion piece about how like everyone's just being raised in a like everyone's accomplished, everyone gets an award or certificate, and everyone's great and awesome, and like I've gotten so many of those types of awards and stuff. You even went to a ceremony to one of my summer programs, and you commented on how everybody got an award. I was like damn,
I remember that.
Yeah.
So the thing about, and this goes back, we're talking about the human condition here. We live in a society where competition is a big deal.
Yeah.
It's always good to be number one.
Right.
One of the things that we don't teach people is disappointment.
And
If you don't try hard enough to be number one, and you get 15th place, but you still get recognized, you're hurting that person in the long run, because as they get older, they won't know how to handle disappointment. That is my opinion.
But I'm gonna tell you,
It's almost
now,
factual.
right?
It's about social Darwinism,
I mean, yeah.
It's a survival of the fittest. But how can you be conditioned enough by the time that you're 18 years old and you're going into society where you're a true adult, right? You got to pay taxes, you got to work, you got to support yourself. How can you be prepared for that? Well, failures prepare you for that. Consequences, hurt, pain, like you said, prepares you for that. But if you are protected and and you're given certificates for being in 15th place, and you don't get enough of the real world,
Of course.
you're gonna grow up disappointed. Here's why: because you're gonna go to college, and
but college is also becoming safe zones too.
you're gonna fail some classes, and your girlfriend's gonna break up with you.
Colleges are turning into safe zones
and
too,
you're
now.
gonna be a weenie, and you're gonna go and get a gun, and you're gonna go to an elementary school, and you're gonna shoot it up. That's what's gonna happen. And I can tell you in two incidences, in Sandy Hook and also the one in Parkland, that's exactly, profile-wise, that's exactly what happened. The guy from the Hispanic kid that did the Parkland shooting, he dropped out of college. He was going through some stuff. He was jobless. And guess what? He lost hope. Anybody who loses hope, the definition of insanity is repeating the same thing over and over and expecting different results. So when you don't see past a certain, thing, you go crazy. You don't even care about your own life, right? The human condition thing, everything that you guys are talking about, people are weak. I saw it in the military. You saw it in the military.
I saw it on the military a lot.
People
don't know.
People were crying.
Yeah.
10 weeks into basic training, or
First day of training.
So it's kind of like what you're saying, Louis. We got to be tough on our kids, man. It starts at home. Yes. Our kids have to be disappointed. They have to have failure. They have to know pain. They have to know all these things.
They have to struggle. They have to know struggle.
Yes.
The struggle's real. No, and it really comes down to that. I when I'm talking about the human condition, I'm talking about the struggle.
Yeah.
So that is a perfect word. The struggle is real. You have to know what it is. If you sit in there and you sit there and just feed the kids everything they need all the time without them having to struggle for it, it's kind of like this. It's like domesticating an animal that shouldn't be domesticated.
And then you send them out in the wild.
And you send them out to the wild.
They'll die in the first day.
That is exactly the perfect analogy for it. We're domesticating our kids and they're not learning how to fend for themselves. I think that's what it comes down to.
That's a good conclusion. That's a good way to.
So if Louis, if you were free to the wild, you will die.
Yes.
You know, and you know, I think there's a.
Hey, at least you acknowledge that you were, so you.
Yeah.
I think there's a responsibility there as
shelter.
parents, that where we have to push our kids to be tough. I think, honestly, truly, yes. I think that's what it is.
Yeah. Y'all got the better end of the raising, I guess. I don't know. The rearing. All right. Next topic. I want to talk about something else that is a bit also controversial. Well, maybe not. Hashtag delete Facebook is a trending thing. Yeah. And I wanted to combo this topic into basically essentially two topics. But what do you think about like the surveillance society? Like, going back to our earlier topic about gun control. What if there was a way to like track somebody to make it easier for law enforcement to monitor somebody and then catch them before they commit their minority report their ass?
Because they're doing that, but they're doing it to the wrong people. There's this thing where profilers think that Middle Easterns or people that are sympathizers with Muslim thoughts are the number one typical terrorist, and it's not true. Terrorism is people like Timothy McVeigh, people like the shooters that are at these schools, at the theaters,
Boston bombers.
To me, those are domestic terrorism is bigger to me right now than terrorism. Yeah, September 11 happened, right? I think that the bigger risk for us is to have these shootings. And look, since 2001, which is when Homeland Security Act went through.
Patriot Act.
I'm sorry, it was called the Patriot Act. I'm sorry. When it went through, that was the green light for government to really surveil
the population,
individuals, because they were doing it before, but this is not about individuals. I think they're just doing it to the wrong people. Like you said, they should pick up searches. Like the guy from Las Vegas, he bought a bunch of weapons in a short period of time. Most of it, by the way, most of it was cash. He purchased a lot of it with cash.
All right. But hold on. Wait.
There should have been something to catch him.
You're armchair quarterbacking the situation.
Okay. All right.
Let's say that I'm about to throw a party.
Okay.
A shooting party.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna buy like five AR-15s, and I want to buy like 3,000 rounds. Does that mean the FBI needs to come down
a
here?
flag should come up, and they should question you and just say, "Hey."
Question me, really?
Question you.
But
hey.
I haven't done anything wrong.
Nothing wrong.
No, they'll break down your door.
They're not going to break. Just say, "Hey, we noticed that you're doing this. That's fine. Your order's going to go through. We just want to know what's going on. You're going to have shooting party. Great." What they're doing is it's kind of like that deterrent at the school. When you have a resource officer at the school, he's there to deter. He's not going to be able to stop 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 shooters, right? But to most honest people, to most crazy honest people, they might stop them from actually shooting.
Yeah, great.
And that's what the FBI can do to deter people.
That's what I told the FBI. What I'm really doing is this.
Hey.
But they did their due diligence, right? The FBI did their due diligence.
If you were a criminal, maybe that might change your plans up. Maybe that might say, you know what, I can't do this crime this month. I'm going to have to talk to my people.
It goes back down to crazy people, man. You can't stop crazy people from doing what they're going to do anyways. I'm just saying.
So all I got to do is just type into Google how to make a bomb. And
by the way, a lot of people go on the dark web. There's this website that's famous. I forgot what it's called, but you could buy drugs and stuff like that. I forgot what they called it, man. But you could buy anything. You could buy anything. Bullets. You could buy guns. You could buy anything you want. Anything. Anything.
So it's a black market.
It's a black market. And
organs.
And the FBI does not have. So you get a VPN network. The FBI, it's very difficult for them to catch criminals on there. It really is
super encrypted. It's super
very encrypted.
So
and you use servers from
proxy servers,
from different countries, and you get to pick which country you want to get. Anyways, a criminal's going to do what they want to do, but at least if they're already doing what they're doing, trying to catch terrorists in this, why don't we try to catch domestic terrorists? And make it known, make it a public thing, make it a controversial thing. Yeah, knock on your door. Hey, Juan, we noticed you ordered 3,000 rounds. You have 5 weapons. You know, what's going on? And then you get so pissed off because you're an honest person that you make a big old media thing about it. What's going to happen? Holy crap. You know, the people that really want to do criminal stuff and shoot up schools.
I would say that's fake news.
They're going to think about it. It won't be fake news. It'll be a legitimate thing. It'll be a legitimate.
It's fake.
Trump will say that.
I know.
So,
You know what I mean?
All right,
I don't know.
All right, so going back, I guess we kind of went back to gun control a little bit.
Yeah.
So,
But like,
Your
okay,
point
my question about like
is it the Facebook delete
the-
thing that we're talking about, or no?
yeah, hashtag delete Facebook because the controversy about Facebook is they gave this third party app a lot of information which had an influence on the election.
My
Cambridge
brother knows about
Analytica.
But there's that. I don't know the details. You might know more.
He knows more.
I read about it
Okay.
specifically.
Okay, but then there's also
Just a quick give a quick
synopsis.
So Cambridge Analytica is a third party. They're not like affiliated with Facebook in any way.
Okay, they're a research group, right?
They're a research group, and they
Yes.
get paid money for
data.
different corporations and stuff like that. Right. They specialize in social media like analytics. Okay, so
Okay. Psychograms.
I don't know, and there hasn't been a connection made, but based on what the CEO said on a surveillance, like he didn't know he was being recorded. He specifically said that he worked with the Trump campaign, and they had access given to them by Facebook. I think they had like 50 million users. They had access to their stuff, and they were able to use that information to help the Trump campaign get more voters.
By doing what?
They manipulated their news feeds. We know now, I mean, we didn't know back then, but we know now that there were a lot of fake news articles. Right. So what they were doing is they were pinging specific people in key states. We're talking about 50 million people. So like Michigan, Ohio, key states that were very on the line. We know now that was a big factor because a lot of the voters, they were middle age that they were specifically targeting. And the CEO, again, he was under surveillance. He specifically said, "Yeah, we told Trump what to say. They knew what to do and say to get those voters." And one of the guys was like, "Oh, so he was like your puppet?" He goes, "Yeah, he was like my puppet." So Facebook's in trouble. They're in the hot seat because they willingly gave that information over to them. Gave access to that information, and there was no safeguards. They did not notify the user that they were doing that. So they were against the FCC rules and regulation.
And then Mark Zuckerberg had to apologize on CNN.
Which was a horrible apology, but he is going to be going and presenting himself.
He has to go before Congress. Yeah.
About that.
Separate side note, House of Cards had a plot line dedicated to that last season.
Oh, actually, they did. They did. I remember. Yeah,
you don't remember that?
They did.
I haven't got up that far. I'm only
season 4. Season 4.
It was like the last. It was the last season. Yeah,
last season.
All right,
so
that's cool.
Just throwing that out there. But okay.
That's crazy. And you know what?
What? House of Cards. Reality.
They actually have been asked like, "Hey, are you guys?" And he goes, "No." The producer said that most of their stuff comes out before it actually even happens
because they're filming it, and writing it, and filming it before.
Maybe it's because they're part of that.
That's the Illuminati shit right there.
Well, you know what? The executive producer was Cambridge Analytica. I'm kidding. But anyways, so delete Facebook, man. I don't know how I feel about that.
That's crazy. But my wife and I were actually talking about that.
And
she said, "I'll do it if you do it, but only if you do it."
Do you trust tech companies like Google and Facebook and Amazon to have data on you?
I mean, no, not really. But
they
you know
have
what?
Data.
Yeah.
Everything that I do on their website, they can sell it however they want.
But counterpoint, Facebook, it behooves Facebook. They're not in this scenario, but it behooves Facebook to keep that information proprietary. Because if you want to be a successful company worth billions, that information, you don't want to give it out to third parties because you want to protect.
Unless you want to make more money.
Look,
but you make more money by serving them ads. That's Facebook's mantra. Is like, I want more data on you to make sure the ads follow you, so that way I get more click through and I get more money.
Well, let's go back to the net neutrality thing where this is a fucking free country. I want to do whatever I want with my information the way I get it.
Right.
So that company wants to do whatever the hell they want. Like, if I want to sell to somebody else all the clicks that this person does on my website, hey, they can make money however they want, right? Right or not right?
Netflix now has algorithms they change the thumbnails to make it so that makes you want to click on it more, or like more watch it. Like the thumbnails for the shows are now different based on you.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, there you go. See, that's another example. They use the information that you have, and if they want to sell that information to somebody else, well, I mean, how am I going to stop that? What is this, medical records or some shit? That ain't confidential. This is just
what if they
this is
said,
the way you think.
What if they said, hey, look.
But you can be manipulated because of that data, as we saw with the Facebook stuff.
Well, you know what? To each his own. No, I'm playing devil's advocate here. I'm just saying, look, I'm looking at it from the business standpoint.
Now, let's change some things up a little bit. The details. What if Facebook notified the user, and in return compensated the user for kind of like as if you were a research group, like a study, like a
what's it called? Information up, and they're gonna send you crazy fake crap. And
what's that?
No. They're not gonna say that. They're just saying, hey, we have your information. We're gonna turn it over to this company, and they're gonna compensate you for that.
What's that thing called? Whenever a focus group, you're a focus group. Yeah, you're a focus group. Okay.
Because they only targeted 50 million people, which is a small percentage.
Only 50 million.
That's.
And by the way, Facebook lost like $49 billion.
Of the population. That's a sixth of the population.
They lost $49 billion.
Did you hear what he just
said?
That's a sixth of the population.
I think it's less than that.
There's about 300 million plus.
Oh, 400 million.
About 400 million.
Okay, then maybe get more. Yeah. Okay.
So,
the last time I knew it was
they lost $49 billion in shares. They lost a lot of money the day following this announcement.
Good for them, I guess.
You know? I mean, it impacted.
Well,
Look. Here's the thing.
An eighth of the population.
I don't think enough people are going to delete their Facebook. Number one, so Facebook's safe. Number two, the people that are doing it are influential people like Elon Musk, and there's a lot of California celebrities that.
To be honest with you, Facebook's on a very thin rope. I mean, they're letting themselves stay relevant, but they could be like the next MySpace.
Easily.
You know, the next big thing that comes up, which by the way, they buy those.
They buy
Instagram, and all those things. They buy them because they want to stay relevant. You know, but it just takes one little thing, like something like this that's coming up. Oh, they're selling our shit. Well, the next company's like, we don't sell your shit, and we're just as good as Facebook. You know, something like that. Yeah. Then they might not stay relevant. I mean, it is a possibility. You got to think about that. And then I used to have a MySpace account. It was the coolest thing, man. You can make your fucking page look the way you want.
The music on.
The music. I had everything.
It's controversial when you're not in your top five.
Yeah, man. You know what? I actually kind of thought it was cool, man. I could put my wallpaper up and everything. I learned how to do that. And then all of a sudden, while I was learning how to do that, like, no, man, nobody gets on MySpace no more.
Yeah, by that time, it's
like,
The cynic in me was, what is it called? The cynic in me says that the best trick that surveillance companies ever did was brand themselves as social media. Ooh. That's a cynic. No, that was not my quote, by the way. I just want to throw that out there.
They should have a social media site called Kaiser Sose.
Oh.
The biggest lie the devil ever told was that he doesn't exist. And, you know, it kind of goes with what you said. And, you know, we could be cynics about this stuff. We can make jokes about it and be negative about it. But guess what? The truth of the matter is, since the 60s and 70s and 80s, government surveillance has always been a big thing. Here's the thing. Here's how I personally feel about it. I'm not doing anything wrong. I don't do anything illegal. I don't have anything to hide. In terms of Facebook, if they want to go in my shit, if they want to use my data to try to manipulate me, hey, at the end of the day, it's going to be up to me.
They did an illegal human experiment. I just want to throw that out there.
And that's fine. And you know what? That's
no,
fine.
no, I'm not talking about this.
I only put information on there.
No, there's a separate thing entirely that they unwillingly wanted to know how if they can influence a person's emotions. So they put all of like negative posts on your feed to see if you would post negatively, and they would, and then that's an illegal human experiment. They didn't give consent to be experimented on, but they did.
Wow.
But anyways, I think we should end it here. I think this is a good place to end. Ladies and gentlemen, that was another episode of the Musing with Menchaca Show. That was a doozy.
It's a lot of stuff.
I know it's a lot, but hopefully I can keep this ball rolling. Hopefully we can be back next week with a new episode with new guests. I know you guys have your time is very valuable.
Actually, while we were talking, man, I wrote down a bunch of stuff I'd like to talk about next week.
Oh, I mean, we can do it again. I'm game. I'm very much game. All right.
We didn't hit everything.
We didn't. Yeah, he had a whole list of topics, but we went 2 hours.
Yeah.
And we think we hit 5 or 6 topics.
Yeah, we hit a lot of topics. Yeah. We did really good.
So, with that said, you can follow me on Twitter at Chakalaka88, and you can email me at boomchakalaka4@gmail.com. You can catch me on iTunes and Google Play for your audio listening needs. I think that's it.
Yeah. All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for making us a part of your day. Luis Menchaca, signing out.
You might want to get it really close to your mic because, you can tell the difference. You basically want to talk like this.
Hey, do you disinfect these things?
No.
I will sue you if I get an infection. Herpes.
Yeah.
Recording this right now.